Is there some like herbalist inspector that goes around and like like checks to see, hey, okay, everything checks out here?
So here's something really crazy about herbalism. You do not have to have any type of certification in the state of Pennsylvania to be an herbalist.
Really?
Which scares me. Like, that's scary.
Well, because anyone
Exactly.
could just be like, yeah, take this.
Exactly. And that's honestly a lot of the people that come to me say, I went to this place and they told me to take this, but they're not asking for allergy or why do you think you need this? Or they ask questions that I was like, they asked you what? Like, that's not what that does. Like, so there's a lot. We actually know someone that they were diagnosed with cancer and his girlfriend was quote unquote an herbalist, was giving him all these things and he passed away. And it was just so funny because the type of cancer he had, I mean, obviously I think herbs and the correct diet can do so many things.
Certainly.
But if your liver is shot, it's really, really hard to get that to where it needs to be. Yeah. So it's one of those things that you kind of have to maybe make them more comfortable or maybe make their end days a little bit more satisfying. But yeah, like, and a lot of people, whenever I started, I mean, I've been into herbalism pretty much. I mean, I find books from when I was in high school about herbs. Like I've been into it for such a long time. And I think a lot of my family and friends at first were very like, what do you mean you're doing that? That's how he passed away because she did that. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to have a certification. She was giving him things that, I mean, sometimes poisonous if given in the wrong doses. So it was just a very bizarre situation.
What's the motive for someone to, well, I'm sure the motive is they just don't want to put in the work to get certified. But like, why?
But, and it's not even, you don't even need a certification in Pennsylvania. That's the thing that I'm like, I don't understand. Like if you can go and you can call yourself an herbalist because you have a farm and you grow herbs from my understanding. And maybe that has changed. But, as far as I looked at this actually not too long ago, it has not changed as of right now. So that would be something I'd be very cautious about. If you are going to someone that is an herbalist, make sure whether it's a lot of people learn from their family members, which I don't think that's a bad thing. Like you can have a very educated person in your family and you learn from them. But you need to be careful for sure because I think that's kind of a scary thing. A lot of like a chiropractor or a naturopath, they actually have a certification. Like they can't call themselves those things unless they go to school. Those would be people I'd be more inclined to trusting. But if they don't have those certifications, I would just be a little bit more, do your research, obviously, and you should do that anyways.
Definitely, no doubt.
Before you take something from someone.
Yeah, if someone's just like, hey, take this and mix it with this and also add that and like, yeah, that's pretty surprising that you don't need a certification in PA. Yeah,
it scares me for sure. Yeah. I've even had people. I actually had somebody not too long ago say to me. So I've been working with animals. That's been one thing I've been working with is with herbs and animals because that's another area where animals are just given a lot of junk.
Right.
You know, even their food. Sometimes I'm like, you know, I'm very picky about what our dogs eat. But there was somebody, their dog was having seizures, tons of seizures. And there was no, like every time they do blood work, they couldn't figure out what it was. And I was in their yard and they have, I don't know if you're familiar with foxglove.
I don't think so.
It's very common. It's common in this area.
Okay. I'm sure if I saw it.
Yeah. And you can use it in herbal medicine. It's a psychotropic plant medicine. But it's poisonous. If you have the wrong dose, it could kill you or cause seizures or epilepsy. Like it can cause all these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, you have foxglove in your backyard. And it's actually it can be untraceable. So that's why they weren't finding it because it was getting out of his system before.
Right.
So yeah, it's just that kind of education.
Yeah. I just still can't believe someone can like sell or just give you anything. And just because they say I'm an herbalist. And yeah, that's just wild. Yeah,
it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Like I have people come in the shop and they're like, I've never even heard of this. I was like, then don't touch it. I was like, you probably don't need it if you don't know what it is. So it's funny, but yeah.
What's your vision with the Witch Kitchen and with your degree and with your certifications?
So I am going back, obviously, just getting a little bit more. I just want to be as familiar as I can with a bunch of different types of herbs.
Sure.
But I guess my biggest thing is just I just want to educate people on it, let them know there's a different path that you could be taking. I'm like working on an actual like clinical certification. So I have my master herbalism certification and I'm having like these little certs like here and there, but I'd love to do clinical. So more of, I mean, if I could get into a doctor's office and be a doctor's like holistic practitioner there, I think that'd be amazing.
Is that common in doctor's offices or is it pretty uncommon?
You know, I've been hearing more and more about it.
Good.
So I think that would be like a really cool thing. But I like owning my own business. I like doing my own thing. So if my girlfriend can get her nurse practitioner license, we can work together. I think that'd be awesome too. So I'd like to do that. I just want to make people more aware that herbs aren't a bad thing. So yeah, I just want them to know that there's other options, I guess. And I've been doing more things with psychotropic plant medicine. Obviously, a lot of it is not even legal in the States, but there is a lot of benefit to it. So I've actually taken a course right now on that, just learning more about like, so your mushrooms and how, you know, cannabis works. And I just want to understand it.
Certainly.
So, because I know eventually that stuff is probably going to be, not all of it, but I have a feeling cannabis eventually will become legalized.
Yes.
And I get that question all the time. Do you do CBD? I'm like, no, right. I do not.
Is it tough? Do you have to get a certain license to sell that?
I would assume, yes. I mean, I would definitely to get like the...
Like for you specifically.
Right. So I know you have to get certain permits to like grow and whatever you're using it for. But I would feel I'd probably have to get a certain permit so I could use it. I wouldn't use it in a typical... Like I'd probably put it in lotions or salves, that type of thing. So I would assume you'd have to have that because it has this higher level of, you know, it's a psychedelic.
Sure.
So it can make people do weird things. So, but I want to learn. That's like my thing. I want to learn about it and be able to teach people like, this is why it's working. This is why it doesn't. This is why you're having this reaction. So
are the states behind? Is our country kind of behind when it comes to herbalists? And
oh yeah,
really?
I totally feel so. So like herbalism isn't something new, which I think is so funny because people are like, oh, I went to an herbalist. Like it's like this new thing and it's been around for ever. Like, I mean, there's herbs dating back the whole way to, I mean, it's in the Bible.
Right.
Herbalism has been
Herbs
around.
and spices,
forever. I mean, heck, Jesus was given frankincense and myrrh at his birth. So, I mean, herbalism, we're definitely behind. A lot of countries are using herbs to treat, but also too, our diet is awful. So we're willing to do all these modern things with our diets, but we're not willing to go back to the old ways, to, heal ourselves. But I have friends that go to different countries for herbal medicine. So, I mean, it's just, and they're educated because it's been passed down in their family. It's all they know. That's the only medicine they know. So it's harder to convince somebody that these things can work whenever they're not willing even to change how they eat.
Is the fact that we're so behind when it comes to herbs, is it, I don't know, we can get conspiracy if we want to.
Sure, let's do it.
Does our government want there to be a pretty big focus on the current health, like the current way that our country finds to heal the human body? Like, they don't want to mess with that. We have a system of hospitals, doctors. We're not saying that those things are bad at all.
No.
But is there kind of this, is it tougher to move forward in this in our country? So
I think one of the biggest issues in our country is greed.
Sure.
We'll leave it at that. Do your research. There's a lot of kickbacks for a lot of different things. And I think people are becoming more aware of that because of COVID.
Yeah.
They're coming out with all these treatments and they're coming out with this and this. And I see all the time people questioning it. Like, isn't that a little fast? Isn't that a little, leery? Why is that guy involved? Or what does he have anything to do with it? So I mean, I'm all for a good conspiracy theory. I'll put it out there. But there is research to back up. Maybe not, I shouldn't say back up, but there's a lot of research out there that I think it would open people's eyes if they really looked into it. And it's not hiding anywhere. You can go on to the CDC website that is ran by the government and get your information that you would need there. But it's unfortunate. I think greed is a big problem. People just don't. I don't know the right word or how to say it correctly. And I don't want to say people don't care about each other, because there are a lot of people that do care.
Sure.
But I think if we could regulate those things a little bit better, I think healthcare could be more affordable. And a lot of people don't come to an herbalist because they can't afford it, because their insurance won't cover it.
Right.
So those are hard things.